Welcome to the Psychedelic Suitcase. I'm Dave McNee. This episode is a look back at our time spent in Portugal and how we eventually got home. The plan was to stay for 2 or 3 months in Portugal and then move on, but COVID hit, so we decided to kind of stick around there a bit longer. It was in the middle of nowhere and we felt safe. It ended up being 6 months that we stayed with Gabi and Jo, the owners of the animal rescue / off-grid community. But as time went on, we thought maybe it's best to get back home. So after a number of canceled flights, they canceled all the flights going directly from Portugal to Canada. We found a way home through Germany and London. Before we get into that story, I just wanted to give you a heads up about some upcoming episodes. We've been busy interviewing people. We can't physically go and see them so much anymore, but thanks to the miracles of technology, we can reach out and still talk to people. The first person we interviewed, and these shows will be coming out in a few weeks, is Andrew D'Angelo. He's a plant medicine pioneer who was one of the co-founders of Harborside, one of the first dispensaries in California. He's got years of experience navigating the cannabis revolution, and he's bringing that same expertise to psychedelics. We also talk with Wendy Oki. She's the niece of artist Alma Rumball. If you haven't seen any of Alma Rumball's work, I suggest you look it up. There's a documentary on YouTube called The Alma Drawings, and sort of documents her story. In a nutshell, she was an artist who, at the age of 50, had a vision of Jesus. And from that moment on, her hand would automatically draw and paint these intricate designs. She claimed she had no control over the drawings that she made for the rest of her life. But I do suggest you check out the Alma Drawings. It's fascinating how the work that she accomplished, seemingly unknowingly, is quite incredible. So I suggest you check that out. We also talk with Emma Chasen from Portland, Oregon. She is a plant medicine educator, and we talk all things plant medicine, psychedelics, and cannabis. So those will be coming up in the next few weeks. But this episode, like I said, is more of a look back at our stay in Portugal and our adventure trying to get home. It all started the night before, making masks so we'd have enough to travel with.
Yeah.
Mask making documentary.
Mask making, life saving.
Gabi was cutting and sewing, and Jo was running the sewing machine. It was quite the assembly line that we had going.
So, because now the most difficult part comes.
Okay, I thought it was.
Now you have the cutting part.
Is.
So the most difficult part is to stretch this now.
Come on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
False. Yeah. Take this a bit out. That's like this. And then.
Later that evening, we took a walk with Jason and Camilla and their 3 dogs. We talked about their journey and why they chose to live the life they do. But before we talk about what goes on here in Portugal, a little history of 2 of the permanent residents.
My name is Jason.
My name is Camilla.
I grew up in a small village in the southeast of England. I've been here for about 3 years now, I think.
When did they start traveling?
So I started traveling. I first went to Thailand when I was 23, I think. Yeah, it started out with just going on a holiday with a girlfriend at the time. And yeah, just for a couple of weeks. And at the time I was working in a kind of engineering office job. And just took a 2-week holiday. Right. And when I was there, met a lot of travelers. And that was kind of the first thing that introduced me to traveling. It was pretty eye-opening, meeting some people, and it just kind of clicked. I realized this is what I had to do at that time.
And how about Camilla?
Well, I started university really to travel alone when I went for an Erasmus experience in Spain for 6 months. And that's when, actually I started to be alone, out of home, and start to meet different people from what I was used to. And from then on, I was always trying to have different experience abroad, 1 year later, I went to volunteer to Brazil, and I was always wanted to go to South America, so I got the possibility to go. And from then on, after university, I studied for 3 years psychology, and I was not very sure about what I was doing. I was 22, and the finishing university was kind of the step I was waiting for to say, okay, I've done something, now I can start travel and kind of start learning really something about life. I decided to come actually to Portugal for the first time.
So why Portugal?
I wanted to come to Portugal, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. The idea was just learning stuff, different, having experience and being in the nature, and the idea of living with animals and doing different projects.
Right.
Yeah, sounds good to me. So I decided to come here.
One of the main purposes of the place we stayed at was animal care and adoption. Jason and Camilla's animal family seems to be constantly growing.
Oh, yeah, we are a little bit out of control of this.
So my first dog. So I was traveling at first in a van for a few years, and when I was in Spain, I got my first animal. I picked up my dog Maya, and we've been. I think that was 4 years ago around, and I think last year, or maybe a year and a half ago, about the same time, I got another dog here, Nina, and Camilla took a dog.
I went in Italy after meeting Jason, started university, and I was missing so much animals after being here for such a long time, surrounded by animals, and I got the chance to get this dog for fostering at the beginning. And very soon I just decided to adopt. He's a little dog called Birillo, and I started to get a passion for broken animals. He's not walking very well, and after this we got another cat who was also broken, and now a new addition, another couple of cats. They just keep on coming.
Yeah, in the last few weeks we've someone found 2 3-week-old kittens. Their mum had been killed, and it was the opportunity for us to look after them was given to us.
Hard to say no.
Yeah, it's very hard to say no. And as soon as I saw them, I thought, oh dear, that's another 2 animals we've got for sure.
Not much to think about because we have the vet in the house, so we can get as many animals as we want. Because
and there's a lot of animals.
Easy.
A lot of animals come and go, and sometimes you just have a connection with some that is it's hard to give up. Yeah. And so at the moment we're living in a yurt with 6 animals, 3 dogs and 3 cats, and the 2 of us.
The yurt which they've been living in is temporary. They've started construction on a house, a cob house. Jason explains.
Yeah, so cob houses are basically they're an earth house made from a mixture of clay, sand, straw, and water. When I first had the idea to build my own house, I started looking into natural ways of building and saw cob, and just kind of fell in love with the idea of it. Nice. It's very hands-on. The traditional way of mixing all of the ingredients together is mixing with the bare feet, and you're building with your hands. There's no kind of structure. It's just you're just getting balls of mud and just building from the ground up. It's very, very hands-on, fun, messy way of building, and the results are beautiful. It can be very, very natural. You don't have to have straight walls. It's more beneficial to have curved walls, and it looks beautiful.
And what about food?
Yeah, kind of end of spring at the moment, so we've got lots of tomatoes in there, lots of different types of lettuce and other salads, cucumbers, zucchinis, pumpkins, melons. Probably a load more that I forgot, but yeah, all sorts. And it's a big part of what we're doing here, trying to feed ourselves, and we do kind of sustain ourselves a lot on the food that we grow here.
Everything has a purpose here, right? So, yeah, everything. So,
Including your food.
including the food.
Yeah.
So,
We try to compost everything that we use,
right.
Because pretty much everything we use here is natural, and everything goes back to the earth. Yeah, it goes in cycles. What we're eating. So we have animals here. We have some horses and a donkey. We also have chickens and lots of dogs and cats.
Right.
And basically the poo from everyone goes into the mix with all the food waste and other garden waste, and everything gets composted, goes back into the soil, to the food production. We try to have as little waste as possible.
So what are the benefits of living off-grid? What is the appeal?
Well, it started to me all from little steps. When I was living in the city, it was very clear that we produce so much waste, and we are really not focused on the amount of things that we are just wasting, just from plastic, food, or just so many things that living in cities, you don't really realize it. So at the beginning, I was very interested in the environmental subject, and I was trying to reduce my personal impact on Earth. And when I came here and met Jason, I didn't think a lot about self-sufficiency before, and the idea of doing from the beginning till the end, living a life that has very little impact on Earth, it just makes a lot more sense. And living in the nature and with the animals, and create this sort of circle with everything we use, it just makes sense to me, and it's just the logical way to live in this world.
Being a young couple with lots of options, I was curious if they had much support from their family and friends.
I'm not so much supported in these decisions, because from where I come from, in northern Italy, it's a place where work and money is a big thing. And trying to explain my parents that I chose not exactly to follow the path of university, getting a job and get a family, get married and blah blah. It's not so easy.
For me, it's I think at the beginning my parents were they're quite supportive, but at the same time probably a little bit fearful of what if stuff goes wrong, or if you can't support yourself. And there's definitely a lot of fear with parents in particular. A lot of other people are very supportive, and a lot of people would like to do it themselves, but it's obviously a risk to leave a comfortable job when you're getting good money, and it's definitely a big change, and it's a big step that a lot of people find difficult to make.
It's not the easiest life. There are still
It's definitely not.
hard things to deal with. It's just so much better than the normal life.
Yeah, there's still
For us, at
there's
least.
still day-to-day things that you get you down or you get a bit annoyed about, but when you kind of take a step back and we look at where we are and we look around at the nature around here and the beauty of this place, and you just smile.
COVID's changed a lot of our lives, and I was wondering if it had affected them much, being in such a remote location.
And in actual fact, here we're very, very lucky to be where we are. We have a lot of land here. We can go walking for miles and not meet anybody. So the impact on us here has been quite minimal. Say from when going to the beach on the weekend, but yeah, it's compared to being in the middle of a city in a small apartment. You know, it's a lot tougher for them guys.
Other than the animal care here, there's a sense that they want to build a community.
Yeah, we're kind of creating a small community with the owners, and in the future we're hoping to have some more people, and basically just protecting this land here, looking after the place, doing everything as naturally as possible, and continuing the beauty of this place for generations is the idea.
There is this little part of forest that Gabi owns that is, the purpose is to keep it untouched, because around here there is a lot of, how you say, culture?
There's a lot of, there's a lot of kind of clear cutting and plantation for eucalyptus for, it's mostly for paper production.
Yeah, and the idea is keeping that land untouched and let the nature be as natural as possible.
But with the owners and with us and with a couple of other little houses with families, and for sure a continuous community and everyone helping out each other and giving the freedom for the individual families to travel as well, because it's being here we still want to go and see other parts of the world, and so when you have a big number of people here or other people here to do some of the work while I've been here, and Camilla also, there's probably been 100 people that we've met between us. Different workaways, volunteers coming for either a few weeks or a few months, or in some cases, like you guys, for a bit longer, 6 months.
There are periods when there is a lot of people, like 6 to 8 volunteer in the past, basically. And some other periods, mainly in winter, where we are alone. But it's very nice to have this continuing, coming of people, different people.
For sure.
Keeps us also alive, in touch with.
And learning a lot from a lot of different people and different cultures. A lot of people are European, but there's also people from South America, from China, from all over the place. With all the animals we have here, there's always work to be done.
And with that, we said goodnight.
Alrighty, guys. Sweet. Nice
Have a
one.
good night. In the morning.
We'll see you in the morning.
Have a nice trip.
Cool. Thanks again. Yeah, have a good night. You too.
Maya, Nina, hop up. This way. Maya, this way. Maya, this way. Maya, come. Maya.
In the morning, we said bye to Jo and Gabi and all the animals, and then Jason and Camilla drove us to the bus stop for the first leg of our trip home. Since Carolyn and I have been traveling for a while, we don't have a home to go back to, which poses a problem. We're supposed to quarantine for 14 days. We had heard that the government of Canada, if you don't have a place to quarantine, would provide one. And after a number of phone calls, I couldn't really get many answers as to what that would look like. I asked repeatedly if there was anything we needed to do ahead of time to prepare, and we were just told to arrive in Canada, and an officer of health would assess the situation. So, we hopped on the bus to Lisbon. After a 3.5-hour bus ride, we got to Lisbon and got a quick shuttle to the airport.
Passengers for Lufthansa flight 1169 to Frankfurt, boarding please at gate 16.
Then on to a flight to Frankfurt, Germany, our first major stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give you some information about our flight today. At this point, I would like to ask for your understanding that due to the current situation, we can only offer a limited service in all classes. Our aim is to ensure the welfare of our passengers and crew members. Should you need to use the washrooms, they are in the rear of the cabin on this flight. Thank you very much for your understanding.
The plane was busier than I thought, and even though they had told us that some middle seats weren't allowed to be booked, it seems like a lot of them were. But we got there okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Frankfurt Airport, and please remember...
Just in time for our 11.5-hour layover. Then it was off to London. Once again, the plane was fairly busy, but it wasn't a very long flight.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Also, on behalf of the cabin crew, I'd like to welcome you on board. My name is Miriam Grabet, and together with my colleagues, we will take you to London in about 1 hour and 5 minutes today. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to provide the following COVID-19 public health message from Public Health England and other health protection agencies in the UK. The symptoms of coronavirus are a new continuous cough with or without a high temperature. If you experience either of those, however mild, please inform the cabin staff for reporting to Public Health Agency at the airport. Simple measures you can take to help protect yourself and your family are: 1. Wash your hands often and thoroughly. 2. Avoid touching your face with dirty hands. And 3. Catch coughs and sneezes in a tissue and dispose of it immediately. If you follow these simple rules, together we will help combat the spread of coronavirus. Further information is available at the posters and leaflets available in the airport. We now wish you a pleasant stay here in London or a safe onward journey. Thank you once again. Tschüss, goodbye, and stay healthy.
After another few-hour layover in London, we finally boarded our flight back home to Canada. Before we boarded, our temperatures were checked and asked a few questions. This time, however, the plane was empty. We had whole sections to ourselves.
First of all, we thank you for flying with us today. It's a pleasure to have you on board, of course. And, the service won't be quite what you're used to, but we'll do our best with the current situation. We thank you for, again, your patronage, and we wish you a very good flight. Thank you.
All travelers are asked to complete a coronavirus form so that public health officials can contact you if needed.
Once we arrived in Canada, we set off to find the chief officer of health at the airport.
We have to talk to somebody about arranging something.
Okay, so when you go downstairs, public health's there. So later in the process.
Oh, okay.
When
So
you
just
talk
leave
to an officer at a booth, just tell them that and they'll direct you to public
So just leave this
health.
blank for now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, the first few questions that were asked of us was if we had arranged anything beforehand, which I told them I tried, but I was told not to.
We're coming from Portugal. We've been there the last 6 months.
For a couple of hours, we figured our best solution was just to get a hotel.
So we have a list of hotels that are kind of nearby if you want to stay somewhere near the airport, so you don't have to travel.
And stay there for the 2 weeks. So that's what we did. And after 37 hours of traveling, we were in our hotel room. Looking back, we're glad that we came home when we did, not knowing what the world would be like in the coming months. We figured we can take this time to explore a bit of Canada that we haven't seen before, and still reach out to people around the world to talk to them more about living a psychedelic life. In the next few weeks, we'll be talking with plant medicine pioneer Andrew D'Angelo, Wendy Oakey, who's a niece of artist Alma Rumball, and plant medicine educator Emma Jason. The Psychedelic Suitcase is produced by Carolyn Myers and myself, your host, Dave McNee. Join us next time when we unpack more of the Psychedelic Suitcase. Until then, safe travels.